dead black people dying, he denigrated. He denigrated Breonna Taylor, everybody, black woman at home. He called her all types of thugs and she wasn't that innocent. He says vile things about black people who've been harmed unjustly. And now people want to have a high standard or a moral high ground for him? Man, all right, let me get some more calls. I get.
It is a little bit hypocritical, the actions that happened, the reaction from the public after the untimely demise of Charlie Kirk. I think anybody with a rational understanding, a rational mind, and non-biased understanding would agree that a lot of people did try to move the goalposts and a lot of the things he said. Because I mean, that's normally how a lot of people do when someone untimely passes. We want to remember them in their highest. You know, we see it all the time in the black community. You know what I'm saying? Somebody could be a drug addict, choose drugs over a kid, lived a whole life of crime, debauchery, and degeneracy, and they're going to bring up the fact that they were very involved with the church at an early age, and, you know, things like this nature, involved in activities, sporting stuff, you know, things like that. We all know how it goes down. But, man, we ain't about to sit here and, me personally, I'm not about to sit here and take a dump on Mr. Kirk. I'm just in here, man, catching up on some stuff, man. But yeah, man, the topic for today, live stream this morning, is what's next in Trump's America, man. And I feel like this is a great question to ask or to propose, man, and throw out there, man, because as I said previously, man, in the last week and some change, a lot has transpired in Trump's America, man. Whether it be negative, positive, however you want to spin it, a lot has occurred in Trump's America. I'll get on in here, man. Get on in here, follow on in here.
One more, because we are in here heavy. Let's get, what's your name, Boyle? Let's get Boyle in here. Boyle Bow. Hop on in here, Boyle. How you doing, Boyle?
Hi, I can't complain. I noticed you speaking earlier.
Alrighty, man. Hit that sub button. I really am intrigued to know what is next in Trump's America, man.
Medically, and watch what's going to happen next week. But outside of that, this is the most important. And he's a part of the medical too, because he's truly a great doctor. But we are going to be presenting Dr. Ben Carson with the highest civilian award and honor in our country. It's the civilian version of the Medal of Honor, which is our highest military award. It's the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and we're going to have a ceremony at the White House honoring Dr. Ben Carson.
Hey, man, did y'all ever caught that Key and Peele skit? We was talking about black conservatives, how they do that hand clap. They had Malcolm Jamal Warner in it. It was just a funny ass clip, man. Funny ass little show. Hey.
Presidential Medal of Freedom. Congratulations, Ben.
Lights go out in Harlem. Do that thing. La da da. Lights go out in Harlem. Shout out, man. Shout out to the gang out here, man. Shout out to the folks.
Congratulations, and everybody, thank you very much. We much appreciate it. Congratulations, Ben. He didn't know this. He didn't know it. I hope he's happy. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good time. Thank you.
Trump out here partying it up. Trump touts trip to UK, tariffs, early actions in office, man. Yes, sir, man. I'm just curious. I just gotta, you know what I'm saying? I'm just wondering what's next in Trump's America, man. It's been a wild year. It's been a wild, it's been a wild year, man. Attempted assassinations, 2 of them. The assassination of Charlie Kirk. You know, just a lot of vile craziness has been transpiring in America, man. So I just want to look up some things, see what's going on. You know, I know I've missed
The world of
I missed a lot of
is in terminal guidance.
let's see. I know I missed a lot of stories going on.
Stage one, that
song. I love Ben too, or I wouldn't be here. I had a thing tonight that they said Ben is being honored, and I just got back from Europe, as you know, and we had a great time. And I've been doing this for 4 nights in a row, and they do it very well, as you probably noticed. It's great. But I never thought, you know, Ben was expecting a call that I wouldn't be coming tonight, but I never even thought of that. But I did try and get out of the tuxedo, I will say that, because I'm getting ready and I'm just about set to go. And they say, sir, you know it's black tie today. I said, you got to be kidding. So I said, do you think Ben would mind if I showed up in other than black tie? They said, he'd be fine with it, sir. I said, no.
I do find it, I mean, life does have to go on, but it is kind of it's just questionable how, I mean, I haven't seen the man shed a tear. I haven't seen him say too many things in honor of Mr. Kirk. It seems like life is just going on as normal, you know what I'm saying? Like as planned, per se. Kind of, and yeah, I think we all kind of come to the conclusion that it's probably some foul works at hand behind the demise of Mr. Kirk. The reaction from the people who we expected to get reaction from is kind of not adding up to what we thought it would be. If you ask me, man, you know, they having balls there. He's out here cracking jokes, galas on the, you know, it's just, I understand people mourn different ways, and you know, I don't really know how you expect people to act after something like that, but it's like life is kind of just moved right on along, you know, with the death of Charlie Kirk, just being honest.
He's a man that I respect too much to do that, you know. So I put the damn tuxedo on, and here we are. That's true. Very special. So I'm thrilled to be here with so many friends and distinguished guests who support the phenomenal organization, the American Cornerstone Institute, dedicated to life, liberty, community, and faith. And that's Ben and Candy, frankly. Incredible family. I especially want to thank the extraordinary patriot, American Cornerstone founder, Dr. Ben Carson. We know him as Ben, but he's doctor. He's a great doctor, one of the best. And especially I'd like to thank Candy, because I've known Candy for a long time, and she's the rock behind that man. She's the rock. And wherever you are, Candy, I know these lights are brutal, but that's okay. I know you're out there, Candy, and we love you. And
I just want to know what's going on in America, man. What's next for Trump's America, man? What are the type of things that's plaguing us right now in America, man? We know it's a lot of propaganda going on. It's a lot of craziness. They're trying to censor free speech. Man, there's just a lot of people getting canned due to the derogatory remarks made about Mr. Kirk. We're just living in a real chaotic time right now, it seems like. You know, everybody seems to be, a lot of vile hatred being spewed. Soul of America on the brink. Black church stands against Trump. Let's see what Porky the Pig, Roland Martin.
Now this week, we've shared with you a number of videos from black pastors speaking from the pulpit, not just about the shooting of Charlie Kirk, but also the white nationalism, the white Christian nationalism that we are seeing take place all across the country. It is happening everywhere. Reverend Kevin Johnson, the senior pastor of Abyssinian Baptist Church in Harlem, spoke about what's going on. This is what he had to
Lights go out in Harlem.
say.
we
even our founders of the United States of America knew that this nation, even from its genesis ex nihilo moment, was not perfect. They understood that it was a work in progress. They recognized that America needed to keep growing, needed to keep changing, needed to keep becoming more diversified, needed to keep becoming better than it was. But this week, beloved, we all have to ask the question, are we becoming more perfect, or are we becoming more divided?
There's no such thing as perfection, especially not in humankind or societies. So we got to stop that. We got to stop that that farce, as I call it, man. So there'll never be a such thing. When you're dealing with human beings, there will never be a situation where it's perfect. So we just got to accept that fact and move on from that, because there will never be a situation that's considered perfect in this society, man. As long as there's people, there will be imperfect people and there will be evil people, unfortunately. Best thing we can do is, because it's evil people that's in leadership. So that's first and foremost. This is all type of people, as they say, looking for them Epstein files, celebrities, politicians, all type of folks, man. So in my opinion, there will never be a such thing as a perfect society. We can strive for it. We can, wish, but it's not ever going to happen. Lights go out in Harlem. I do that da dee 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 do. Lights go out in Harlem.
This past Wednesday, September 10th, the day before 9/11, our nation witnessed something that should have brought us together. Tragically, a 31-year-old ultra-conservative MAGA leader was murdered in broad daylight. And on the same day, even though it didn't get as much attention, there was a mass shooting that took place in a school in Colorado. Lives were lost. Families were broken. And a nation had been further shattered. And what disturbed me more than anything was that instead of our political leaders mourning together, serving, if you will, as the pastor-in-chief of the nation, seeking unity in our shared humanity, what did we see? We saw a president who
saw political divisiveness is what we saw, man, on full display. Political divisiveness, and a lot of folks using Charlie Kirk's death as a political jumping tool or rallying tool to get people on their side, basically. So that's really what we see. We saw a lot of divisiveness, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to, as he said, thinking the tragedy like that will pull the humanity out of us and bring us all together and under a religion that most of us in the United States practice, which is Christianity, and under God, you think it will pull us together. But if you be honest, black and white people serve different gods. That's just facts. We serve different Christian gods. I feel like a lot of European people do not think that black people deserve to be in the kingdom of God and the kingdom of heaven. That's just my opinion. Not that it matters. But I don't think that Charlie Kirk and me serve the same God. That's just me. I feel like he serves a God that looks down and thinks that he serves the traditional Judeo-Christian God, if you ask me.
Decided to blame versus heal. We saw leaders who had picked division over unity. We saw a man who had selected accusation over investigation. And before the facts even became clear, before the investigation was complete, we had the leader of our country pointing fingers at people on the other aisle, when the reality, it was somebody who came from his own house.
you, but this past week I was praying and hoping that in this moment that we would have some grown-ups in the room. We needed to bring America together, and that's the reason why we posted that video of Pastor Butts on 9/11, is because it's at moments like that we need leaders to bring our country together. Yes, beloved, when I think about the great leaders of this country, they did not seek to divide us. They don't seek to blame. They don't seek to accuse. They don't seek to divide. No, they seek to bring us all together. And beloved, that's why I'm raising the question this morning: where is our nation headed when the leader says he could care less? Where is our nation headed when people care more about political points than they do about human pain? Where is our nation headed when they focus more on tearing down than building up? Where is our nation headed when there is more focus on them versus us collectively? As much as I've been wrestling with these questions this past week, I came by to let you know this morning that there's still some good news. Because God has not given up on America. Because God has not given up on us. And beloved, that's why we've got to understand that yes, we may be divided. Yes, we may be hurting. Yes, we may be broken. Yes, we may be going through some situations. But I want to remind us today that
Well, after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, President Trump announced plans to label Antifa as a major terrorist organization. It's known for its violent left-wing protests.
We're going to do a big thing with respect to Antifa. Antifa causes tremendous incitement, and the things they say and the things they do are horrible.
Antifa is an ideology in large part, but it's...
Where the hell did Antifa even come from? Antifa are Caucasian people that are out here to confuse the masses and to basically have us in disarray, if you ask me. I feel like they're paid agitators. They're out here sent to create confusion and propaganda. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these folks, they're paid agitators, if you ask me.
also true that there are groups that organize themselves and call themselves Antifa, right? They march and chant Antifa. They have black bloc as basically their uniform. So I do think that there's a way to go after them as a group.
Let's bring in former FBI Special Agent Nicole Parker. Nicole, thanks for being with us today. So the president wants to go after Antifa. They are to be designated as a domestic terrorist organization. What are the problems you see with this designation?
Well, first of all, just talking about Antifa, I think the term is thrown out in general terms quite often, especially since the summer of 20.
Funny enough, Trump's doing the same thing that he accused the left of doing as far as using political power, as far as using their, what he's talking about, the news cycle. But still, he's using his power to control. He's still controlling the imagery, the media. If he's using his power to try to declare Antifa as a domestic terrorist cell, it's kind of, I feel like it's kind of an abuse of power if they don't have any real solid proof that these people are dangerous terrorists, you know. But we'll see.
In 2020, when we saw those awful protests and riots that overtook our nation for months. So Antifa really how it's different from other domestic terrorist organization groups is that it's very decentralized. There's no particular leader. There's no membership requirements. It is really like smaller networks that are set up all across the country. And so, first of all, the decentralization of the movement does make it more difficult. I also think it's important to note that you're right. These tend to be the far left individuals. They are usually anarchists, communists, socialists. They are anti-capitalists. And so it's very different than when you hear about the foreign terrorist organization groups, right? Like ISIS, Al-Qaeda. Those are actually designated by the State Department. And so for the domestic terrorist organization groups, those are not formally designated. They are not designated by the State Department. And so it's a very different set of circumstances that you're looking at. I think it's also important to note, John, that federally, there are obviously federal statutes for foreign terrorist organization groups. On the federal level, there is no domestic terrorism statute. And so usually, let's say the FBI is doing an investigation involving domestic terrorism. You will have to go in and find an actual statute. A lot of times it's hate crime, violent crime, things of that sort. Those sort of statutes would be what you would charge if you're doing a domestic terrorist type of investigation, as opposed to the foreign terrorist organizations. They have actual statutes that the feds use to charge them. It's also important to note that on the state level, there are 32 states and DC that do have.
I feel like Antifa is a deflection. It's just a deflection tactic. It's another form of propaganda from the right. It's a deflection tactic to try to, or a diversionary tactic to take eyes off of the real issue, which is just political violence. It's bipartisan. It's a bipartisan issue, even though we do see more so the left lashing out more so with violence and acts of degeneracy and things like that. I do feel like him trying to, differentiate between these hate groups, especially ones that don't more so support his narrative, is kind of, it's kind of to be expected.
State laws that criminalize domestic terrorism. So there are a lot of things that you're looking at, but when you're asking what the difficulties would be, I think the lack of the centralized structure, and that, these groups kind of offshoot all over the country. Different countries have different Antifa groups, but there is a commonality. A lot of them tend to be involved in things like protests, doxing, violence. And so I think with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, it is of importance to President Trump that something like this never occurs again. And I don't think that President Trump...
I don't really think you have the power. You're not God. I don't really think you have the ability. You couldn't even stop yourself from being attacked, allegedly, these 2 times. So what can you possibly do to prevent acts of violence, random acts of violence?
Is saying directly, yes, this was caused by Antifa. That is not what President Trump says. I think in light of what this horrible tragedy was that never should occur in America, we should never, ever be using violence to solve our grievances. I think it's a precautionary and a strong measure. President Trump is coming out and being very proactive and saying,
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. No, thank you very much. Great job. Any questions, please? Yeah, Brian. First of all,
you've been a great audience, okay? You're great people. We are great people. Yeah, man, I'm about to get up out of here, man.
Did they take down the blue tent?
Yes, sir.
Last time he hit me with a blue tent and nobody knew what he was talking about. We found out, right?
Found out.
And he was gone the next day, and they had a lot of. That was not so easy. That's a violent, radical left group. Okay, go ahead.
I got peppered with a lot of comments for doing that. They still have their First Amendment right, though. They're still out there protesting. You've got an amazing team behind you. You've done an awesome job for DC. I want to get ahead of a story that I think might come out. You pushed out an email earlier today, really showing dozens and dozens of local media in Memphis highlighting all of the violent crime in that city. So they have no problem reporting the crime, but when you show up to solve it, they're going to run around town looking for that one person that says, we don't want Donald Trump in our city. What can you say to the media there in Memphis, Tennessee, to help let them know the people?
Shut the hell up. Y'all got problems there. You know you have problems there. You have a gun violence problem there. Black youth, black young men have a terrible, terrible gun violent and gun death problem in Memphis specifically. Stop being in denial. Stop being intellectually dishonest. I say this to a lot of folks. Stop being letting emotionality rule your life. Stop letting racial idolatry rule your life, where you're willing to put the safety of your community aside just because you don't like Trump. Your ideologies don't align with Trump's. Grow the fuck up. Grow the fuck up.
Want you there in their city.
Well, I'm not sure they found that person, because I saw them doing some interviews and it looked like they were looking, but they were in fact, that producer, that person, I think they lost their jobs because everybody was saying we want Trump to be there. They want the people right here to be there. Look, it's very simple. In Chicago, they're getting beat to hell. They're being shot. If you lose 6 or 7 people die over a weekend, they consider that a successful weekend. And when you consider that a successful weekend, that's pretty bad. I had the president of Poland here a few days ago, and we had a news conference. Many of you were here. And I made the statement. I said, we're very happy to announce that it's been over 2 weeks since anybody's been killed in D.C. And he looked at me like, is that supposed to be good? He's looking like, what kind of a place is this? And now it's been a long time, but, and as I was saying it, I said, I'm not sure if that sounds good to somebody. It sounded great to you, but it doesn't sound good to somebody from a country where they don't have violent crime like we have. But now it's a long time since that's happened. When for years, where at least one person was killed. Now,
it is a tragedy for this to be a first world country that, a lot of the countries that don't have guns readily and accessible in manufacturing plants, they actually obviously can't get their hands on all these high-powered machinery, and it just makes the eradication process, the murdering, the homicidal process, way more difficult. You know what I'm saying? So in America, it's just so easily accessible to get your hands on devices of mass destruction that can hurt people, man. Whether it's switches, guns, semi-automatic, automatic, you can alter guns, bombs, pipe bombs, all type of shit people don't need. But America is one of the freest places in this world, for sure, man. But you got to pull back on some of these freedoms for folks, in my opinion. We can guard. Then we got what it takes to guard lives and liberty. But I'm about to get up out of here, man. TNP, True Masculinity Podcast. I was just wondering, man, what's Trump America gonna look like? Had to speak on it, man. I'm gonna get back on here in a little bit, man. I'm about to finish this day off. Peace. Keep on pushing.